TV land. It's your boy, Freelancer Joe. Ready to once again get cracking. Thank you for bearing with me through yesterday's audio troubles. Yeah, that wasn't really cool. Not the kind of thing you want to figure out after doing a 30-minute video, only to realize that you didn't have any audio. Yeah, believe it or not, not the first time I've seen that kind of thing before. See, before I started uploading videos, I of course did the smart thing, which was practice. And I had that happen before. So I developed a routine in which I thought would kind of prevent that from happening again. And that basically I fire everything up, and then I start the recording software, record a short 15-second video where I test, stop recording, do a playback to make sure that it's recording the sound, and then hit record again. And yet, for whatever reason, it didn't work yesterday. So my guess right now, which is neither educated, much like myself, is simply that, so now my capture software, for whatever reason, was occasionally intercepting the keyboard inputs, and I had to press certain keys to re-enable it, or to get the keyboard inputs processing properly in VirtualBox. And my guess would be that whatever combination of keys I pressed yesterday, well, it let me get the keyboard working, it put the mic on mute, I guess. So I did do my test thing again, and I'm looking at the mic icon right now, and it looks like it's recording. And see, this thing, the light's not blinking. See, if I press the light, yeah, when it's blinking, it's on mute, and when it's not blinking, it's not muted. So hopefully it should be working. But thank you for joining me again. If you can't hear me, then you will probably be hearing more classical music, which I picked because it was free. But other than that, I hope you've been having a wonderful Monday. I've been having a really good Monday. A little dragging in the morning, but the cooler weather continues. It's still rainy. I guess the front of whatever hurricane is coming along is pushing up. But it's keeping things cool, and I'm digging that. And it's not making things, well, I mean, it's still humid, but it's not hot and humid. So that's all good. And if your boy Freelancer Joe's looking particularly jacked right now, a little pumped, it's because I just finished my shoulder workout, and yeah, feeling pretty good, feeling really jacked, you know. If you confuse me for a member of the Greek Parthenon, I certainly can't blame you. I'm sure that not that I would put myself on the level of a Greek god, more like a demigod perhaps. I could see me being a demigod. But which demigod? Hercules would be the obvious choice, but Jocules, I mean, if I was going for that kind of name, I'd go for something from Norse mythology. I'd be Jokey. I mean, I kind of like Jokey, to be honest. And then the thought of Tom Hiddleston playing me in a movie, that wouldn't be such a bad thing. Although, I mean, Chris Hemsworth is obviously the more rational choice to play me in a movie. That said, to be honest with people that would go to see a movie about me, you know, I'd want an actor which more closely physically resembles me, and Hemsworth has like 1 or 2 inches over me, height-wise, so, you know, that would kind of disqualify him. I mean, but everything else, he'd be a pretty good fit, but he's just a little too tall. But anyway, that's enough about me thinking about what kind of Greek demigod I would be, or Norse god. So we should probably Joe Paulo. I would be Joe Paulo. the demigod of machismo. There we go. That's the one. I like that. I'm gonna have to. If I had business cards, that'd be a very big business card because I have lots of titles for myself. And I gotta admit, God of Machismo. That's a good one. I need to make sure that would be in there. That'd be in the top 10. Ah, anyway. Let's see. So, unfortunately, because you couldn't hear me yesterday, I will have to do a brief recap of what was said. I mean, unless you could read lips, since I'm assuming most people can't. In short, I said a lot of very smart, insightful, paradigm shifting, world changing things in an eloquent and very pleasing manner, and I was also extremely funny and hilarious and side splitting. But since I can't go into all that, just a drive recap is I went over some of the AWS lambdas that I've written in anticipation of being able to provide future functionality for clients. So the ones I had were for accessing S3, which is, so briefly, an AWS Lambda is just a small snippet of code that runs somewhere within Amazon's cloud. And they're meant to run based on some kind of trigger and to access one or more of Amazon's web services. And the lambdas I have right now, well, I have three, but yeah, I have three. I'll go ahead. So the first one is the one I use for my contact form, and it uses the simple email service, and that sends out the email to me when the form is filled out. So that's pretty cool. Another one I've written was for accessing S3. S3 is the data. It's a storage service that Amazon has set up. It's looks like it's a hierarchical bucket structure. It's very similar to what you see in, say, Windows Explorer, a tree kind of thing. And you use that for storage of, whatever, documents or files. Potential use case for a client for that would be the storage of, say, billing invoices, payment receipts, things that you wouldn't want a historical record of for clients. And then the two other lambdas I had written were for writing to Amazon's DynamoDB and reading from Amazon's DynamoDB. DynamoDB being one of their database storage services. And that kind of speaks for itself why a potential client would want to be able to do that. Databases you can update and add information as needed very easily. So let's say the services that a client offers, the prices for those services, products, contact directory, although maybe Amazon probably has an LDAP thing for that. Calendar events, those kinds of things. Things that you change every so often, but you don't want to redeploy everything. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and briefly show you. Okay, this is interesting. So it's doing the capture thing again. Hopefully this doesn't cut out my mic. Escape. Nope. When? S. L. Okay. I'm checking the mic and the icon, and alright. Seems to still be working. Alright. Minimize me, out of the way. briefly take a look at the functions under lambda. Go over here. Whee! Alright, so these are the 4 functions that I have. This is the email one. This is our dynamo read, dynamo write. I wish I had a better way to rename them. And my S3 read demo. Let's take a brief look at the S3 one. I won't. I mean, I guess I could probably demonstrate it working. Alright, so this is kind of a general overview of how it's structured. This is the trigger that fires it off, but I don't have any triggers. This represents the lambda itself, and these are the services or resources it accesses. You've got CloudWatch is Amazon's logging service, and S3, which is what it's supposed to be doing. Let me see. So, briefly look at the code. Now, if this doesn't look like my normal coding style, that's correct, because I cut and pasted from lots of other things. So this is our handler. This is what gets called when the lambda is triggered. It reads the bucket, which is the folder in S3, and the key name, which is the file. So in S3's nomenclature, it's a bucket, which is the container, and then an object, which is the object within the bucket. So these are passed in through environment variables, calls the read file, which uses this S3 object from the AWS SDK library, and it tries to get it, and if it does get it without an error, it reads the file content. In this case, it just responds back with the file content, and if there's an error, it responds back with a 500 error. So let's take a look at the process. The environment variable, so I specify my bucket as my website bucket, and then the object is the style.css. So let's briefly take a look at that. I did all this yesterday, but now, hopefully, you're hearing me. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do then. So this is the bucket, Freelancer Joe. This is the file, and as you can see, it does index offline. It's just a CSS style sheet. So in theory, if I run this, I got a response back, which means it read it. It was trying to read style.css. And if we compare all this verbiage, index, min width 800, index, min width 800, so it successfully read it. Yay! And so yesterday I did that for the other 2 lambdas as well. So that's all peachy keen. But okay, so now let's go ahead. Move on here, and so I have all these things in my own Git repository as well. Because once I have them fully set up, what I intend to do is, as I get clients and as they request these kind of functionality, it's much easier for me to just pull from one repo and repurpose the code. And then that's the other thing. I mean, I'm also going to have to make this code available to the client as part of a deliverable, I suppose. So it's easier for me to give them the actual files as opposed to say they point them to where it is in the Amazon Management Console. I mean, they're paying for it to work as well as the code itself, so I have to deliver that. All right, but if we look at, say, let's go ahead and look at my. So this is my contact email, and you see the formatting is different. Its export handler is also one. It's just one giant function, but it does also generate particular responses, and the responses include these headers here, and that's very important because these enable cross-origin requests to occur. I mean, even though this S3 demo worked, if I threw an API gateway endpoint in front of it and had my UI call it, it wouldn't work. The cross-origin request would fail because it doesn't have these headers. So what I want to do is start making these things consistent. The other thing, well, my email lambda, I like how it does the responses better. I do prefer the fact that these other lambdas, well, not this one, but this one in particular, how it breaks it out into separate methods. Plus, I want to rename these things. I mean, bucket name is one thing, but really, I should just call it an object name. Alright, so I like that I'm referencing that by that, referencing that by that. That's fine. Export handler, that's fine. So question number one, I mean, do I really need to... I like the clarity of this. Alright, so I'm going to keep that, but I'm going to rename this to object name. So I'll have to remember to make sure that this is correctly set in the environment variables. And I'm going to call this read object, because I don't like mixing and matching nomenclature. Read object. So on object content, which is fine. On object content, which is fine. Bucket name. Object name. No, okay, wait, no. So now it calls it key. So if the parameter itself is key, then I guess it should be key. Yeah. Alright, fine. I'll keep it a key. You call it a key, but then you say get object. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason for that, and if I bothered reading in the documents, I'm sure I'd see it. Who knows? I'll tell you one thing, I'm definitely not going to call the file name in here. So these are the parameters. It's fine. On callback, key name, on object content, key name, key name. See, now what I also don't like is the fact, I'm wondering why I have to pass that in. I mean, since these things are defined outside, why would I need to pass it in? Now, it's possible, okay, it's possible depending upon what the key is, I may need to have different methods. That's true too. Yeah, but then on the method itself, I could probably make the distinction for it. You know what? All right. All right. All right. Oh, really? Really? No. Wait. So, the easiest way, I can spend the time finding the documentation and reading and learning about all the ins and outs, or I could shotgun it. Take a guess what your boy Freelancer Joe's gonna do. I was born with a shotgun in my hand, yo. Alright. So do. Let's take a look. I can't tell if that worked or not. I mean, it just ran, but I'm not sure if it ran the one I saved or the one I didn't. Odd. Ah, no, it didn't. How about now? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that works. So why pass that around if I don't need to pass it around? Who knows? I prefer the cleaner thing. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason why it's better to pass that around. To be honest, it's probably better just to define them all in line for performance reasons. Ooh, that would be an interesting one to test. How long did that take? Okay, it took a second. And let's see what happens if I pass it in. Oh, I don't do that here. I can do it here. It's clear. Is this clear? Where's the stupid clear? No, that's not the clear. Alright, whatever. Save. Test. It still took a second. Okay, so I'm not seeing much of a difference either way. So, I'm sure for millions of lambdas executed consecutively, it kind of adds up, but for my purposes and for the client base that I suspect I will be going for, I'm going for clear and concise. Okay, so I'm going to do something with the content of the file. Right now, I just dumped that out. Alright, so that looks solid. I don't like this either. I get you don't need it. I get it takes up space, but you know the number of times I've had to add extra statements into these things. So it's like, just always wrap them ahead of time. Okay, so that should do that fine. Could probably comment these too, but the beauty of these lambdas is it's supposed to be small, so oh yeah, and this thing, I need to move these into environment variables. Alright, so as for the response. Okay. To do. Okay. I mean, it's pretty obvious that I need to do something else here. So that's fine. I just need the 200 headers. So we have the headers, which is access control origin. I wonder if I still need these. Possibly. And JSON, because I'm responding with JSON, that's fine. Callback no response is fine. Same for the error, I believe. I actually wonder if it would be worthwhile to go ahead and define these in the parameters too. Or, yeah, environment variables. Possibly. Possibly. And do I need to log the error? It seems redundant. Don't need that. Don't need that. All right. Let's see how it works here. Oh, no, not you. Save. Test. There we go. We got a response. 200 with the thing. Nice. All right. So that's pretty good. Before I forget, since we're running a little short on time now, let me see if I can squeeze in this real quick. I want to go ahead and contact email. Okay, so for my contact email, the to address, which is to me, and the from me, are currently hard-coded. So let's go ahead and do process.env2 recipient email, source, recipient, and destination. I'm going to call that recipient. Source. Source address, recipient. I think I make these variables. But this would be useful because it's possible you can have multiple recipients on a contact address. And the source is going to be this. I'm still pleased as punch that I can send emails to myself from my Freelancer Joe domain. As my mama says, tickle pink. All right. Wait, what did I call? I need to reach nerds. I should change that to reflect that too. All right. One thing at a time. Process env. Recipient addresses. Copy. Process. Source addresses. Okay. Control AC. Go to my lambda. This is saved, right? Okay, yeah. Customer address, save, test, email sent. Alright, I'd have to check my email box for that. And one more thing. S3 read. Right now, this is all about consistency. Oh. Change this to bucket name. Change this to key name. Change this to bucket name. Change this to key name. It's also easier to find these constants if they're like that. Save. Test. 200. Awesome. Alright, so I am going to save these and commit them. And I may or may not do the other updates for the other two things tomorrow. Although I need to break those out more, so I might save that for tomorrow's video. But we're running along, so thank you for joining me. Cool kids stuff about commenting and suggesting, liking, and subscribing. I already said thanks for joining me, didn't I? Yes. Yes, I did. But thank you again, because Freelancer Joe appreciates it. And in the meantime, take care and God bless.